Every spring since 1954, an elite group of around 100 of the world's most powerful politicians, businessmen, bankers, media executives, and international royalty have been quietly gathering for a secret meeting in an evacuated five-star hotel while being protected by armed guards who stand watch. Inside, the attendees engage in lengthy off-the-record talks about the top issues facing the world. They're called the Bilderberg Group, or often just Bilderberg for short, and for over a half a century there wasn't much more than a peep about the meeting in the American mainstream media. For decades, many people believed this meeting was an urban legend, but as you will soon see, it's a very real and well-documented group. Rumors about Bilderberg do seem like they're something out of a Hollywood movie, with the cliche claims of a secret meeting of the world's wealthy men trying to take over the world. But as crazy as it sounds, in recent years, a lot of the allegations about the Bilderberg Group that had floated around the internet began to surface in some mainstream publications, and to many people's surprise, such a meeting exists, and the quote, rumors were true. Between 100 to 120 of the world's top politicians, businessmen, financial fat cats, military leaders, heads of intelligence agencies, reporters, and executives from major media outlets fly halfway around the world to gather once a year at the end of May or early June in a closed-down fancy hotel for 3 days and are protected by private security contractors and local police who stand watch outside to prevent any uninvited guests from dropping by. Temporary security fences are often set up to prevent anyone from stepping foot on the property and to attempt to block the view from any onlookers who may be watching from across the street to see who shows up. The attendees arrive one after the other in tinted Lincoln Town cars driven by professional drivers. Independent journalists and photographers have been able to discover the time and the place for many of these meetings in recent years and have gotten clear photographs of some of the men and women who have attended. But still, most refuse to even acknowledge they know anything about it. Some people refer to them as the 1%, but this label is far from accurate if you do the math. 1% of the Earth's 7 billion people is approximately 70 million people. Bilderberg is more like the 0.00001%, which is approximately 700 people, a figure that accounts for the steering committee and the regular attendees over the past few decades. The meeting is named after the Bilderberg Hotel, located in Oosterbeek, Holland, which was the site of their first gathering, organized by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands in 1954. Then, and still today, attendees agree not to discuss publicly who was in attendance or what specifically was discussed, and, until recently at least, most of them have denied any knowledge of the Bilderberg Group at all when, on the rare occasion, someone asks them about it, usually a citizen journalist or a YouTuber. For decades, news of the shadowy Bilderberg Group spread in so-called anti-government patriot circles, in underground newsletters, and on, quote, conspiracy websites, until the advent of YouTube and social media finally forced some major media outlets to admit that Bilderberg is real and some very powerful people attend. After these decades of news blackouts, with the rise of social media and video sharing sites like YouTube, slowly more and more major news outlets have begun to at least mention the Bilderberg Group, albeit ever so briefly, and usually including the caveat that conspiracy theorists are upset or paranoid about them. Through the increase in popularity of alternative news websites and the emergence of social media, more and more people began learning about this strange and secretive meeting, and it got to the point where mainstream outlets basically had to at least mention it was happening in attempts to avoid, like they were covering it up by purposely avoiding the issue. By the way, this is from my new book, The Bilderberg Group, Facts and Fiction. Pick it up in paperback from Amazon.com or download it onto your tablet or your e-reader. I've been investigating the Bilderberg Group for 10 years, so I have assembled my analysis in this new book. You won't be disappointed. I'll continue here with a couple more points. For years, If anyone called into any of the major syndicated talk radio shows like Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, and others and told the call screener that they wanted to ask about the Bilderberg Group, that person's call would never be put through. We're not taking calls on that right now. Sorry. Click. If the person, excuse me, if the person calling gave the call screener a bogus question and happened to be put on the air and then asked the host about the Bilderbergers, they would be ridiculed and the call would be dropped immediately. Something that has happened to me many times. Why not take it seriously? Why pretend for so many years they don't exist? Are all these talk radio hosts and other major news editors and reporters in on it? Has there been a conspiracy to keep the meeting out of the press? It's foolish to deny that there hasn't been an arrangement between the Bilderberg Group and the American mainstream media to keep them out of the news, and to have the top political analysts and talk show hosts pretend like they don't know anything about them all these years. When 100 of the world's most influential politicians, media owners, banking executives, and business elite fly halfway around the world to meet for 3 days in a closed-down luxury hotel that's fenced off and surrounded by armed guards, nobody can say that's not a newsworthy or interesting event. Critics see this small, tightly knit group as an aristocracy or an oligarchy, comprised of men and some women who see themselves as having the right to rule because of their wealth and supposed superior intelligence, who put their own interests above anyone else's with little to no regard for the consequences. Without the proper checks and balances put in place, which was the intention of the Founding Fathers when they split the government into 3 different branches, the executive, judicial, and legislative, in what's called the separation of powers, a government can become so powerful that it's difficult to oppose them when their actions are unfair or illegal. And when their discussions aren't open to public scrutiny, it makes them difficult to keep in check even more. So, many people believe that this meeting is possibly a violation of the Logan Act, which prohibits unauthorized citizens from negotiating with foreign governments, a law that was implemented to prevent people from interfering with international relations between the United States and other countries. It specifically states that, quote, any citizen of the United States, wherever he may be, who, without authority of the United States, directly or indirectly, commences or carries on any correspondence or intercourse with any foreign government or officer or agent thereof, with the intent to influence the measure or conduct of any foreign government or of any officer or agent thereof in relation to any disputes or controversies within the United States, or to defeat the measures of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. Is the Bilderberg Group negotiating foreign policy? Is this where the ruling elite comes to a consensus to guide the direction of the world in their favor? Or is it simply just another conference? Or are the conspiracy theorists, quote unquote, right? What is the evidence? How were they first discovered? What are they doing? And should the public be concerned? Do they choose who the next president of the United States will be? Do they covertly coordinate economic booms and busts? Do they manipulate foreign policy and decide which wars will be launched? And from when? From behind these closed doors? Is this annual meeting of the power elite really just not interesting or newsworthy? Has there been a cover-up or a conspiracy to keep them out of the headlines? Why the secrecy and the denials for so many years? Those questions and more are answered in the Bilderberg Group, Facts and Fiction. Pick it up right now from Amazon.com in paperback or download it onto your tablet or your e-reader. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're new. Check out some of the previous videos and the playlists. And stay tuned. There's more videos coming soon.